It may look informal, sitting in the shade of a tree, but this is Mombasa's COVID-19 task force, in charge of the health of a population of well over 1 million people. This is their morning meeting.
We were looking in terms of how prepared they are, in terms of infection prevention. We are looking at hand-washing facilities.
Set up by the Kenyan government to tackle the pandemic, these task forces manage every aspect of the fight against coronavirus, from public information and contact tracing to enforcement of Kenya's strict coronavirus rules.
With me here I have the list of the contacts which are supposed to be traced. So from here we shall call them, and then we shall have a brief meeting with them, shall explain to them why they are being kept on quarantine.
Mr. Tunja and his team are in charge of tracking down those suspected of having the virus. Anyone coming from abroad or who came into contact with a coronavirus patient has to go to a government-run center to be quarantined for a minimum of 2 weeks. A drastic measure, part of Kenya's effort to tackle COVID-19. In the face of the virus, the country acted fast. It closed its borders, imposed a nighttime curfew, and citizens have to wear masks in public or face arrest. The capital, Nairobi, is in lockdown, but here in Mombasa, the country's second largest city, life seems to carry on. For the task force, their first stop of the day is in the northern Kiambeni estate. Their target, a young mother. She comes along quietly, bags packed, ready for her quarantine. It's not always the case though. Some run away before Mr. Tunja arrives, more scared of quarantine than of the virus itself.
We have challenges. Of course, we are dealing with human beings, and the issue of quarantine does not augur well to them.
There is distrust of the authorities here. Tales of police brutality and corruption are widespread, and security forces have been criticized for being heavy-handed. For the task force, the morning has been successful. They are dropping off the first few pickups of the day. Their destination, the Mombasa Beach Hotel, a place usually popular with sun-seeking tourists, transformed to accommodate for a more enforced type of vacation. Those in isolation have had to pay for their stay as much as $100 a day, a controversial price tag that led to people avoiding being tested. So much so that the government has announced it will now start paying for the costs of quarantine. And many centers aren't as luxurious as this one. Overcrowded and dirty, some have been likened to prisons, and allegations of bribery to get out are not uncommon. These people felt escaping was the better option, and the government had this warning for those harboring fugitives.
That individual is going to cost you very, very highly. That individual could end up killing your child. It is therefore imperative and important that you call the police.
One of those who tried to avoid quarantine was the deputy governor of Kilifi County. Keen to show no one is above the law, authorities had him arrested and charged with exposing the public to an infectious disease. And none are more at risk than members of the task force itself, rounding up these suspected cases in close contact with minimal protection.
If you look at us, we are health workers. We are dealing direct with these suspected cases without personal protective equipment. We are only having masks. So you can imagine the danger we are in. But we are taking that risk because we are trying to safeguard our members of public.
Tomorrow, there will be another list with more names, more people to collect. And as case numbers keep growing countrywide, Mr. Tunja and his team can only hope that they do not get, or worse, spread the virus to those they pick up.